That's maple syrup.
Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Christina and I'm a homesteading, homeschooling mama of 3. Last night I stayed up and worked on some notes for some things for you all, things that our family does to save money. So if you see me looking off screen, I apologize. I just want to make sure that I get you all the info I was planning for you. So as a stay-at-home mom, I make it my business to try to save money in the kitchen. So if you've heard of the phrase home economics, that's a lot of what I do. I know a lot of people are concerned about the rising cost of food. One farmer with Blue Diamond had said, don't be surprised if your grocery bill raises by $1,000. And I know for a lot of families, that would be devastating. It is my opinion that the rising costs we are seeing are only the beginning. We've got fertilizer shortages, increasing fuel costs, we have increased minimum wage costs, and then also we have an increase in animal feed. I saw one farmer that I follow, her eggs, when she priced it out just to break even right now, they would be $11.50 a dozen due to the increase of feed. Somebody else was around $9 a dozen due to the increase of feed. So just know that the people who are growing food for you are going to have to pass those costs on. So unfortunately, I do not think we're at the end here. So if any of that concerns you and you are looking for ways to stretch the food that you have and get the biggest bang for your buck, I have some ideas for some habits and swaps that you can do or make to help your family out. So start with what you have. Always look in your refrigerator and see what items are going to go bad first and plan your meals around that if you're a meal planner. If you're not a meal planner, then if it's just that day, just go with what you've got in the fridge. I always move from my fridge to my freezer to my pantry. Things in the freezer might get shoved in the back, right? So pull those things out and get them used up before they go bad. Once you've made something, if you can't think of how to use it quickly, then just go ahead and freeze it and save it for another day. If you're a canner and it's something like a soup that you know that can be canned safely and you'd like to put that up for a day when you're feeling lazy, that's something you can do as well. Consider substitute ingredients. For example, if you've opened a big jar of applesauce, you don't have to necessarily look at that as applesauce. It can be used as the oil in your recipe. So perhaps you want to use it as the oil. Maybe you want to mix it up with some chopped apples and make an apple crisp out of it for breakfast. And you can also change the flavor of that applesauce by heating it up with some blueberries or raspberries or strawberries from the freezer or fresh or wherever, and that'll just kind of make it something new. So that, is a part of reimagining your leftovers. So I had done a video before, and I'll go ahead and link it up above for you, but it is how our family uses up leftover pork barbecue. One thing that we love to do to reimagine our leftovers, or at least I love to do, and I've really gotten into this lately, is to make leftover soup. We've been eating a lot of canned vegetables over the winter as I try to clean out my pantry, and one of the things that I like to do is to just take all the leftover canned vegetables that are in my refrigerator. So like if we had green beans one night and corn one night and peas another night, just go ahead and take those and dump it all in a pot. The other day we had green beans, corn, some leftover sausage gravy where I had done biscuits and gravy. And I added to that a can of tomato sauce. Actually, it was spaghetti sauce. And what else did I add? Oh, maybe some chicken broth or water or something just to kind of thin it out just a little bit, and it was really yummy. And I threw in a handful of lentils. If you want to make a leftover soup and it looks a little bit like it needs some more bulk to it, I highly recommend just throwing in some elbow macaroni or some lentils. Lentils are a bean that cook up quick, or if you want to use a canned bean, that goes quickly too, but I really like just having those dried lentils on hand. Just throw in a handful and they cook quickly for you. It's very convenient, and they're pretty good too. All right, another tip I have for you is just be realistic about your family and about your schedule. Look ahead and think, okay, well tonight, or this week is going to be really busy. So we're gonna have a lot of really easy meals. We might have hot dogs and spaghetti and tacos or pizza in the oven. Who cares, right? You're feeding your family, and it's going to be something that's manageable for you. You're not going to plan these elaborate meals that you just don't have the time and energy to put into it. And I'm talking mental energy too. Sometimes, it's just a lot to think about this new recipe. So I would say on the weeks that are busy, don't feel bad about just doing things that are really easy for your family. So as a mom, it can be frustrating whenever people aren't eating the food that you made. Something I recommend is to have your kids pick out once a week something that they would like to eat and add that to the menu. And you know what, it might be something easy and you might be like, okay. However, I do have a seafood eater, so she might put shrimp on the menu every week, but that's easy, but practically speaking, it might be a little more expensive. Although I do think I found a way to have it somewhat sparingly but still have the shrimp experience. We went to a friend's house and made something called fresh rolls, and it has this rice paper and you put a noodle in there and you have one shrimp to a roll. You cut this shrimp in half and it's beautiful. You can see it, and you add some fresh vegetables like carrots and cucumbers. We added lettuce to ours the other day. Wrap it up and dip it in a peanut sauce we made ours out of peanut butter, hoisin sauce, and soy sauce, I think, when we were with her that day. Here we made it out of peanut butter and sweet chili paste, sriracha, and a little bit of soy sauce because that's what I had on hand. So that might be an economical way to still have your shrimp, for example, but you know, it's not going to be like a $14 meal whenever you really need to have a, you know, $5 meal. Just something that you can do. But the way the rate of inflation seems to be going, you know, maybe that $14 meal would turn into a $30 meal. So know what recipes are going to actually save you money. Some DIY things are going to save you money. Some DIY things will not save you money. For example, a DIY that will save you money is yogurt. One that does not save our family money is sandwich bread. One that does save our family money is making oatmeal versus like homemade oatmeal versus the Quaker packs. Something that I think is debatable is pizza. Maybe it'll save a little bit of money, maybe not whenever you factor in the cost of energy. So kind of price things out and think things through a little bit. Is making it from scratch really worth it to you? Now I'm going to talk a little bit about some swaps you can make to help save your family money. You don't completely have to cut out the things that you love in your life, but cutting back on them or alternating, like today I'm going to have this and tomorrow I'll have that, alternating things can really help to save some costs. So for example, I do have a tendency to drink iced coffee all day long. So if my coffee, milk, or sugar prices got too high for my family, then instead of drinking coffee, I might have some hot sweet tea or iced tea or water. Substituting water is going to save so much money. If you just try to drink more water, you're going to save money on soda, juice, pop. Well, soda and pop are the same thing. Our coffee price has gone up 20% in the last 3 months. Other swaps that are going to save you money are swapping out applesauce for yogurt. You know, if you want that sweet and smoother texture, swapping out applesauce for yogurt in a daily lunch, for example, would help save your family some money. Swapping out oatmeal for cereal is going to save you money. Depending on the season, buying canned fruit may also be better financially than buying fresh fruit. Of course, I do believe that fresh fruit is going to be healthier for you, but if you're really concerned about your budget, the canned fruit is going to provide a lot of nutrients. Another way to save is to reconsider your snacks a little bit. I did a video earlier, I'll link that up here, on swapping out popcorn for chips. It is actually going to save your family a significant amount of money. You will almost always save money by skipping out on those prepackaged products. I'm talking about like the little convenient lunch-sized chips or Lunchables or the little individually packaged applesauces. Buy bigger and put them in your own packaging and you will save money. Preserve food as you go. I'm talking mainly about freezing and dehydrating food because I think that those are a lot less cumbersome than canning food. If you're, you know, I feel like you need to dedicate a lot more time to canning food, but freezing and dehydrating are minimal effort activities. I would freeze and dehydrate things if they are on sale, or if you have things that are about to go bad. Freeze your bananas and make banana bread with it later, or smoothies with it later. My son would love that. Freeze and dehydrate when things go on sale for you. Sometimes you can get a really great rate on something, especially if it's just about to go bad or if somebody just has too much of it and they don't know what to do with it. And then also your herbs. Sometimes you might buy an herb for a particular recipe and it's sitting in there and it's about to wilt. You can just tell it's losing its life. Throw it in the freezer. Some people like to mix it with olive oil and things like that, and put it in ice cube trays so that they can just pull it out for a recipe later. All right, now here it's about to get a little uncomfortable. If you know me in real life, will I be embarrassed to see you in the future? I don't know. So one thing that I have done is the pumpkins that we put on our porch for decoration in the fall, as it gets colder and colder and I know that they will rot soon, I will take them out, peel and wash the pumpkins and preserve them. I have cubed them up to can and I have cooked them down and put them in the freezer. And I would make banana bread with that. I've added it to soups. One time I had a dish, it was a kind of using up what you have kind of thing. I put in there some leftover pork and a pumpkin puree and some peas. I was like, it's the meal. And I served that with pierogies, and it was really good. It was a nice little saucy dish with all those things in there. So I have preserved things like that that maybe people wouldn't normally think to do, but our family has enjoyed it. So I feel like a place where people tend to spend a lot of money is on snacks. And one thing I might recommend to you is maybe just trying to cut back on snacks altogether. I feel like as a culture, we probably have more snacks than we need. And I'm not talking about like healthy snacks. Try not to snack on junk food. If you have a dehydrator, I highly recommend using it to make some snack food. Some hits in our house have been jerky, dehydrated apples, grape leather, and granola. So those are some things that we've made in our dehydrator. Have you ever heard about I think it might be a book or concept, I'm not sure, but it's stems, shoots, and leaves. A lot of times we throw away parts of plants that actually are edible. So in this jar, I have some celery leaves and also some little bits of carrot because I was dehydrating those at the same time. But celery leaves, I think, are very flavorful, just as flavorful as the actual celery. So if I'm making a soup and it calls for celery, I may use these dehydrated celery leaves rather than celery. You can freeze those too. A lot of people will take scraps like that and put them in the freezer just in one giant Ziploc bag and save that to make broth with later. Another thing that our family does, or at least I try to do, sometimes I let things get away from me and I don't get it done, but something that we have done and that our family enjoys is eating the seeds from squash. So like pumpkins or acorn squash or butternut squash, that's usually not a part of the recipe, and I go ahead and scoop those out, rinse them off, and I throw them in the fridge and save them to roast for another day for a snack. And you just throw some salt and oil on them and they're a crunchy, good, salty snack. I mentioned a moment ago making a stock out of the vegetable scraps that are in the freezer. Another thing that you can do is to make stocks out of bones. You can do that out of basically any kind of bone that you have. We typically do chicken because we raise our own chickens here, and so I might have practically an entire carcass that I can throw into a stock pot and cover in water and just let simmer overnight, and then when I wake up in the morning I have something delicious that I can either can or freeze or stick in the fridge or just use as a soup base that day. Alright, here's another one that might make my friends go, what? Saving your fats. So I do have a container in our refrigerator full of bacon grease, and I can use that to fry potatoes or a lot of other things, and I really like the flavor of it, and it's just something that I can use instead of oil. I don't throw it in the trash. It's just another way to stretch it. Another thing that I've done is I had several roasts in our freezer from our previous year's pigs, and we were just about to butcher the next ones, and I knew that I wanted to preserve that meat. I didn't want it to go any longer in the freezer. So I cut the fat off those hams, then I cooked that up, I cubed it up, and I canned the pork, but I saved the fat, and I put it in a crock pot, and I rendered it down to lard. I have it in my pantry. I've read that it's shelf stable, and I have used it to make biscuits. Only the biscuits though that I'm going to use for like biscuits and gravy, but not biscuits that I might use for strawberry shortcake. So I use that instead of Crisco. I feel like it is good and it works for that recipe, but it does have a porky flavor to it. Traditionally, lard is used from the fat around the inner organs of a pig. So, and that lard does not have as much of a taste to it. It's more tasteless than the lard that you would get off of a roast. You may or may not know this, but you can freeze milk. So if you find it on sale, you can dump a little bit out into a cup to drink and then put the rest in the freezer, or if you notice that it's getting ready to go bad, you can go ahead and freeze that and then save that to bake with one day. One thing I did yesterday actually was I tenderized my chicken breasts, and what that did was it made it nice and flat, and it really makes your pieces look bigger. So if you want to bread that and throw it in the oven for some chicken parm, that's really good. If you want to slice it up, this is what we did yesterday. We sliced it up, diced it up actually, and threw it into a stir fry, and there were a lot of little chicken bits in there. I feel like it really just, I don't want to say it gives an illusion of more meat, but it really does. It helps you stretch your meat out. So if a recipe is calling for 1 pound of meat and you look at the thing and you're like, our family's gonna want more meat than that. I suggest tenderizing it. It'll flatten it out and you'll see it looks like more, and then you can throw some other vegetables or whatever else to bulk it up and make that stretch, because we know that meat is often the most expensive part of a meal if you are a meat eater. And again, I'm going to say watch your portions. We are a culture that is just used to overeating. So I recommend dishing out food for your family on a plate and seeing if they are satisfied with that. What do you think is an appropriate portion size for your family? I actually have to give my kids more than what they want, because what they really want is dessert later. So I've been plating out food for my kids because I'll get them more of something than maybe what they would want. But for my husband and myself, I actually kind of scale it back a little bit, because, you know, we get hungry and we're like, oh man. And then sometimes you have that food on your plate and you just feel like you have to finish it because it's there. If you're sure that you don't want people eating more than what you've given them, rather than like making a big deal out of it, you can go ahead and portion out everybody's plates and then go ahead and stick the leftovers in the storage containers immediately and put it in the refrigerator, and it's just more work. It's a barrier to have to go get that food, and I think they'll be less likely to do so. This is not going to be surprising for a lot of people, but it might be a nice reminder. Eat with the seasons. In the wintertime, that's going to look like eating more canned food and food from the freezer. And in the summer, that's going to mean eating a lot of things that are coming out of the garden or available at farmer's market or available for a cheaper rate at the grocery store. To stretch the food that you already have in your home, try having a no-spend week or a no-spend month on groceries and just see how far you can actually go with the food that you already have in your refrigerator, in your freezer, and in your pantry. Again, I recommend going in that order. When I think about the things in my pantry that kind of keep getting put off and put off and put off, it's kind of those weird ingredients or those interesting ingredients. I recommend stop buying interesting ingredients for now. If you are concerned about your budget, don't buy the things that I might have stuck in my pantry right now, such as mole. Why did I get that? We were studying Mexico and it was like a Mexican thing, right? So I'm gonna buy some mole. Never used it. I also had in there some Tastefully Simple Asiago cheese dip mix for like, I don't know how long it was in there, but it was just something that I thought that sounded good, but then I couldn't really put a plan together for how I wanted to use it, and it just got wasted. And it really makes me crazy when I open my refrigerator door and I see all these interesting condiments or something that our family just didn't like, and I feel bad that they've been wasted. Something that comes to mind is like this Parmesan garlic wing sauce. We just don't have wings that often, and because we raise our own chickens, and do you know how many chickens it takes to make a mess of wings? Well, I'll tell you, there's only 2 wings on a chicken, so that's gonna be a lot of chickens. But anyway, it makes me crazy whenever we've got all that stuff just taking up space in our refrigerator, not getting used. So maybe just kind of pull back on buying those specialty things and think about how you can make the sauces and the special things from what you already have, because you might not like it and it might be better just to have it the one time. One way that our family has stretched our meat is to do half meat and half beans in some dishes. This works for us in soup, tacos, and curries in particular. All right, so you might be thinking, well, I'm gonna look for some really good deals. I will tell you, I am not sure that's always a good idea. For example, if you get on an app like Ibotta and you go through and you're like looking at all these sale things, you might start like adding things to your list that you didn't plan on buying, and that might not save you money, right? They might be just on top of. They're not replacements, they're on top of what you were gonna get. And you might be adding some of those interesting things we talked about. Another thing is if you swing by the clearance aisle and you see, oh my gosh, that's a huge deal, that's fantastic. You might bring that stuff home and it sits in your pantry and you go, why did I buy that? Nobody here likes it. However, if you're the kind of person that's gonna go to the clearance aisle and really only buy the things that you think your family will enjoy, then I would definitely recommend it. One of my, I don't know, are you nerdy like me? Like, do you get really excited about a good deal? Because sometimes I just get really excited. I remember I went to Walmart and they had this cereal that was like Kix with Yoda-shaped marshmallows for $1. It was a big box of cereal for $1, and I think I bought 4 boxes, and I felt like a nut buying so much, but I'm like, look at all this cereal I got for $4. The kids are gonna be so excited. And I didn't want to get in the habit of eating cereal all the time because that is an expensive habit, but this cereal was affordable. But you know how it is. It's like once you start making a routine out of eating cereal in the morning, then all that they're gonna want is cereal in the morning, and it's not healthy and it's expensive. So it was something that I would just kind of bring out, like once every couple weeks. I would bring out that box and we would use it up, and then I'd wait a little bit and then I'd bring out another box. So that might be something that would be a helpful strategy for you also. All right, if you have a job or if you travel a lot, should you pack a lunch or should you eat out? Pack a lunch. Dude, you should totally be packing a lunch. Are you kidding me? That was not even an option. Pack a lunch. It's going to save you a lot of money. One thing that I do to make it easy is I intentionally cook the night before more food than our family's going to need so that I know I'll have leftovers for my husband. And that night, I put his leftovers in a container, so in the morning, all I have to do is grab it and stick it in his lunchbox, like that perfectly portioned container, what I would normally pack. So it's easy on me, because look, I already made it. And also, it's just going to be way more affordable than eating out. And I think it's going to be more healthy and more interesting than eating a ham sandwich every day. All right, now we have a crazy routine. Friends, again, I'm giving you another thing for you to judge me with, but this is what we do, okay? So on Sundays, we have a routine. After church, we're gonna go grocery shopping, but it's like a thing. We go to church kind of far away, and we're gonna be going like half the day. So we go to church, then we hit up McDonald's and get some $1 sodas. So we go boop, 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 and that's like $4 or $5 depending on whether or not we get Rosalie a soda. And then we take our car and we go through the Little Caesars drive-thru and get that $5 hot and ready. It's now $5.55. Save a little money using cash. Don't use your debit card. They charge a little bit of a fee for debit card at our location. So anyway, our whole family can have some pizza and soda while out for $15, and I think that's a pretty good deal. And we usually have enough pizza to take home and have some leftovers the next day. We used to do a pizza and breadsticks, but that's not cutting it anymore for our family, which is too bad because we like breadsticks, but we need the pizza to stretch it out. It is actually cheaper if you want to save yourself a few more cents. I think that the soda at Walmart, the fountain drinks at their gas station, I'm gonna say it's 79 cents or 89 cents. The 20-ounce bottle or whatever the size might be, those are about $2. So if you're buying soda for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it really adds up, right? $5 versus $10, that's a pretty big difference, especially if it's something that you're making a routine or a habit out of doing it every week. $5 a week times 52 weeks, that's a lot of mole, a lot of money. All right, now that I've completely embarrassed myself by sharing all the ways that our family has used or currently uses to stretch out our food to save a little bit money so I can stay home with my kids and we can just have that awesome relationship and love on each other as much as possible. Now that I've completely, just poured all that out to you, I want to know, what are some things, please help me out. I want to know for myself, what are some other things that I could be doing? Also coming up for you is a garden edition or a homesteading edition. I've got a few things I'm toying with, some things that I didn't really want to put on this list because I thought, maybe that's just a little, it would be a little out of place for some people. So I've got that coming up, and if that interests you, please subscribe. And if you found value in this, I do hope you'll like it. And I'm going to post some videos here of things that you may like also. Stick around. Bye.